Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and welcome to my first video of the new update. Today, I'm going to be taking you guys how we went from this to this full prime killing machine. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into the grow. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And don't forget to drop a like or comment below. And as you can see, we got a swamp spawn. And naturally, the first thing I had to do was pick up that slower hunger drain mutation. Then, I immediately made my way over to the sanctuary area. That way, I could check off that prime task. And when I was approaching this area, I could smell a lot of corpses. So I figured I'd reach out and chat just to see if I could get a gauge on how many other crocs were in the area. And it turns out there was quite a few, and several of them recognized me. So I figured, you know what? I might as well just go all in and just see how it goes. Because when you're a fresh spawn Deinosuchus, like I am here, you're not really risking a whole lot by coming out in front of these bigger crocs. And since there was so much food, I wasn't really too worried about being cannibalized. And you know, I mean, if it happens, and just got to start over. But since there was all these bodies and all these guys were kind of sitting on the surface being friendly, I mean, it helps that they recognized me. I figured, you know, might as well just fill up my food as much as I can and just see how far I can make it right here. And, you know, it's a little risky being in this big of a group. You don't want to get archoned and take a social score hit. So after I filled up, I was going to kind of make my way off and try and hide. And then that's when this guy followed me. And yeah, he actually tried to kill me. And that's, you know, that's just how croc life goes. People will act friendly for 1 second, and then they will definitely try to eat you the next. So I went back up into those tall reeds and hung out until you can see my hunger dropped quite a bit. And then funny enough, my battle buddy, Sniper Dude, actually showed up. And he was quite a bit bigger than me, and he had found a new playing partner who was actually an admin. So we chatted back and forth a little bit. The admin was very nice and, you know, offered to split up with Sniper Dude so we could group up, but Sniper didn't want to abandon him, you know, and I can respect that. So for now, I was on my own to start this grow. Don't worry, we will be meeting up with Sniper Dude later, but for the time being, I was on my own. But before they headed off, they were kind enough to roll some organs out from a kill they had gotten, and seeing that it wasn't a huge kill, the organs were the perfect size for me. But since it was an admin, I just wanted to make sure with Jellyfish that I was good to eat, and he was kind enough to look the other way and swim off while I came up and feasted on some organs to really pump those diets up. You know, like you guys have heard me talk about in a lot of my grow videos, the higher you can get those diets early on is huge in cutting down on that initial grow time. Because once you hit prime, if you actually hit prime, you know, I've had some pretty bad luck here lately not getting it, but if you do hit prime, that's really when the real growth starts, because it's about 12 hours, give or take, to go from 8 tons all the way to that coveted 13.5 tons. But anyway, filled up my food, got that perfect diet, got my diets really nice and full. Well, my Y diet as full as I could, because Y is pretty much the hardest one to get, generally speaking, most of the time. And so after I filled up, it was back to the cover of the bushes and the trees right here in this little offshoot of the sanctuary. And while I was sitting here, I heard some splashing around the next day. As you can see, my hunger dropped a little bit, and I've gained some size, and it was a smaller croc. And like the bigger guy that came after me, I wasted no time going after this guy, because as you can see, I could use some bee diet and some hunger. So fortunately, he had to take one for the team and help us continue this journey. And after continuing to grow in the safety of the heavy trees and bushes right there near the sanctuary, I waited until nightfall, and then my hunger dropping about to the 75% level, figured it was probably time to head out of swamps, you know, while I had the hunger. And on my way out, I smelled a bee diet, which can be very dangerous when you're in swamps because it's more than likely a dead Deinosuchus. And I don't know. I've seen quite a few drops in this first grow, so you never know if that bee died as a drop or just a dead corpse, or if there's a bigger croc waiting around. So figured, try and play it safe, and threw out a chat message to see if I could get a response, and no one responded. So figured, I'll risk it and go up here, and if there was a bigger guy around, he probably would have already got me, but turned out to be an omnicorpse. So was able to again fill up on this bee diet, get some organs out of it, and just sit here and continue to grow in safety. When you find a good sized meal like this, there's no reason to just fill up and move on. Stay and grow in one spot, especially if there's gastros around. Fortunately for me, there wasn't really any gastros in this area, albeit I didn't look that hard, but either way, a good meal. And as you can see, by the next morning, I gained some size, and we made our way to the exit of swamp. And here, just make a nice little run across this connecting land area, and before you know it, you'll be over here into the Enderhick. And this little area that we're coming up onto is soon going to be a prime growing spot. I'm not going to spoil all the new good spots in this first video, but this little channel that connects the Enderhick to Delta is a prime elite fish spawning area. And there's a lot of these spots around the map now. Starvation as a croc is a thing of the past, I'm happy to say. And this is where we went and met up with our battle buddy sniper dude. And here in this little channel, this is where I would hang out and grow with him until I hit 50% and he hit 75%. Because once we both unlocked our next mutations, we were going to get the saltwater mutation. Since one of the amazing changes with this update are the new map additions to the South Plains area, also known as the mangroves. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Another great thing that they've added to that area is basically a connection from West Swamp all the way to where Lagoon used to be, all the way up through Mud Flats. So now it is much easier to travel around as a Deinosuchus. Now, if only they would do this same kind of connection from water access all the way around to South Plains and made basically an entire loop, then that would be perfect. But I'm happy with what we have now. So this, between the mangroves and the redwoods, this update is turning out to be a 10 out of 10 in my book. Bugs have been surprisingly minimal, and after having finished my first grow on Deinosuchus, safe to say that at least while I've been playing, I think this is the best update that they have released. So anyway, after we got our saltwater mutation, I grabbed my elite fish, and it was time to make the trip around swamps to the new mangrove area. In which, when you approach this area, I guess it's not just the mangroves. There's some geyser pools that kind of back there that you guys can see. But anyway, once you hit those pools, kind of keep going towards this cliff, and you'll come to a river. And this river takes you all the way up to South Plains and then continues on to Mud Flats. So this is where we were going to spend probably the next couple hours of our grow because, well, one, it's the new area, new hot spot of the map, so we were really excited to play here. And two, we'd had some friends that had already made their way through the area and reported that there was a lot of food. So it seemed like a lot of the land dinos were also checking out this spot. Initially, we didn't see much. Kind of had to do some scavenging. And as you can see, I guess Petits has the dino drops on in this area because Sniper was able to find a croc drop about the same size as me. Brought it over, rolled the organs, and that way I would get my diets even higher. We're getting a pretty good growth rate on this grow, especially now that we're grouped up with Sniper. Always nice having a bigger guy to watch your back. But anyway, after filling up, sat around, grew for a little while, and then we made our way up to the South Plains River. Hadn't been up here, so wanted to come check it out. And then made it all the way up top, because from down there I could smell quite a few rotting corpses and bones up here. And as you can see, my hunger's under half. So, you know, food, it seemed like at first could be an issue, but then it didn't take long. And eventually, all the elite fish just started spawning in. And, you know, almost at 3.5 tons currently, we were able to get the majority of this grow done in South Plains just due to the fact that elite fish, like you can see right here, were constantly spawning. I mean, I didn't even really need to go up to the top river for those corpses, to be completely honest with you guys. I could have just stayed down here and feasted on the elite fish. And since they're wide diet, it's really nice. But then, not too long after that, we get our first grab. A group of carnos crossing at the waterfall, and one of them took the inside path, which turned out to be a mistake. As you guys can see, that other dino was someone that had been down below. He's a little smaller. We had a lot of food, so I wasn't being too aggressive and let him come up and hang out. You know, it's fun, and I try and be nice here and there, but sometimes you got to be careful because these guys could grow up and eventually come after you. But anyway, after spending a decent amount of time in South Plains and didn't really want to spend too terribly long with that guy hanging around us and get in trouble, so we came back down to the lagoon area to go hunt in the mangroves because, well, who doesn't love this area? And a lot of things have to cross this river right here, mainly because the spawns are all on one side of the river and then Sanctuary is on the other. But anyway, we did hit prime, so I took hydrodynamic and hypermetabolic for my last 2 mutations, so we are officially a prime and at 8 tons. But didn't see much down there, so we didn't hang around too long, and Sniper, he was feeling the river, so I couldn't argue with that, so we came back up to do some more hunting. And it didn't take too terribly long at all before we had some takers come up trying to snag a quick drink. This little group of Dilos thought that the river was safe, but they were gravely mistaken, and I was able to get a nice little double kill. Also, another change with this update, the Dilos clones are fixed and are working to probably their maximum potential. I know there was a little update that came out, well, it'll be yesterday when this video releases, but it says that it adjusted the venom. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but either way, right now, there is a ton of Dilos. So, got to do my part to keep that population in check. And then I realized that I hadn't really looked at my settings in this new update. And it came to my attention that I had my resolution set at only 1920 by 1080p. So I bumped that up to my native resolution of 2K, and I mean, look at that. Game just instantly looks even better than it already did. The game looks so good after this update, I didn't even notice that I was in 1080p. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The lighting, just, everything looks wonderful. So if you guys haven't checked it out, now is the time to re-download this game and get back into it. As you can see, there's a Kentrosaurus, another dino that was added. And these guys are everywhere, and they are very powerful. But they make absolutely wonderful meals for a large and growing Deinosuchus. The sniper dude tried to hit a little super lunge right there to get a double kill, but unfortunately for all of us dino lovers out there, and all you guys that have really hated the super lunge and get frustrated at the distance that you could lunge, will be very pleased to hear that it has been changed. The super lunge is no more. Now, a 13.5 ton Deinosuchus can still lunge a fairly good distance, so if you catch some people unaware, not paying attention, you can maybe still get a nice cheeky lunge here and there, but it is definitely not near as good and as powerful as it was in the last update, which I understand. It was a little busted, but I really did enjoy that extra level of deadliness it gave to the Deinosuchus, and kind of added a little bit higher skill floor to be able to come out and hit some long lunges like that. But as you can see, the Kentros are everywhere. That one tried to cross the water, which was not a smart decision on his part. But I will take the food, even though, as you can see, we're at full. Don't really need it. But that's not going to stop us. A little while later, while I was getting some O2, we had a Rex come up to try and snag one of our meals. And I didn't move a muscle because I didn't want to scare him off, and I knew I had Sniper Dude waiting in the wings, and he came up and grabbed the guy. That poor Rex, man. If I'm that size of Rex, I'm not going anywhere near water where a Deinosuchus could be, because that's got to be probably one of the worst ways to lose it. I don't know. Getting ran down by a Kentro, that might be a pretty bad way to lose it, because from what I've heard, their bleed is insane. And at 9 tons, we are getting pretty close to that vital 10.5 ton threshold. But like I said, food, especially after you hit prime, has been no issue. And in South Plains, with all the Dilos and Kentros running around the place, there has just been no shortage of things to grab. Here, kind of looked like that Kentro was going to maybe run off, but I could tell he was just either faking or looking like he was going to try and run across, and well, Sniper and I hit each other. But it did a good enough job at scaring the Kentro that, well, he got himself stuck. And, well, there was no escape from this spot he was in. All he could do was hope that I couldn't get him, but I was pretty determined, and I know this waterfall pretty well, so played it pretty safe and made sure I could get back up from where I was. But unfortunately for this guy, there was a nice little ledge right there that I could fall down onto, and my bites started connecting, and it didn't take long to get him down. And then, not too long after that, had another little pack of Dilos coming over to try and make the crossing. And I didn't learn my lesson from the Kentro. I know I couldn't dash right there, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I was able to still walk up and snag one of these guys off the cliff. He probably had no idea that my bite could still snag him in that spot. But come that next night, we were finally ready to leave, because I wanted to head to one of my favorite hunting holes, West Rail Pond. So we exited the river, made our way down the lagoon, swam all the way up the mangroves to the same spot as the previous update where you can start the walk, and then we just made a little jaunt over to West Rail Pond. And now, with the new update, it's a little bit more covered, but still kind of one of the more dangerous walks to make, so just keep that in mind if you're trying to make this trip. And as you can see, as we approached the pond, there was already a herd of dibbles in the area, and some Kentros. So honestly, I thought the hunting here was going to be really good. But we were in for a different kind of surprise. Sniper almost hit a super lunge on that Kentro, but unfortunately, the super lunge just isn't quite what it used to be, and it's kind of lost all of that superness that made it so deadly. Like I said, you can still lunge a long way, like I did right here, but I mean, that was with quite a bit of sprint after, and it's definitely a lot easier to dodge than it used to be. And as our hunger continued to drop, we didn't really see a whole lot. We had a couple small things here and there kind of run by the pond, and we had this little pack come down to get a drink, these Dilos, but not much food. We just kind of killed them for the heck of it, really. I mean, they'll give us each a few percent, but I mean, food is food, especially when times are tough. But as I was going to log out, funny enough, a group of Kentros came up to drink, and instead of running straight away, they ran right in the gravel area. Yeah, I don't know, but hey, that will definitely let me get my hunger back to full and allow me to continue spending time hunting here in one of my favorite spots in West Rail Pond. But anyway, that's where we're going to conclude this first video. We went from a fresh spawn all the way to prime. So I hope you guys enjoyed my path to prime in this new update, and we'll pick this guy up next week as I get to the 13.5 ton mark and go full killing machine. Anyway, that'll do it. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time, and happy hunting.